We're live. We're live on the YouTubes. You get to get us live and unfettered for approximately 2 minutes. Actually, I lied. Approximately 3 minutes and 10 seconds on the YouTube.
So we can curse and stuff.
If you really feel like it, yes, we can.
We can, wait, Oshie got hurt?
Did he really?
Oshie got
Yeah,
hurt?
like I said, like all of the Caps were hurt, which is why I'm surprised the game went to overtime.
Yeah, but you know who wasn't hurt?
Ovechkin.
Alexander
That's all
Ovechkin.
And that's kind of all they need.
Yeah.
That is kind of their whole
John
team. Anyway.
Drysdale.
Yeah, he's out 4 to 6
Yeah.
months.
Ouch.
This Ducks team is kind of falling apart.
I'm just looking at the headlines.
I was looking at the standings.
Yeah.
I wasn't that far off if the season ended today.
Congratulations, Jeremy.
Are we going to
You
talk
got
NBA at all?
the first
this week?
not
we'll
even
talk
10
about it a
games
little
of
bit.
the season, right?
I was going to talk about how the Lakers suck.
Well, I mean, they were, like, hurt, too, aren't they?
Not really.
They're just old.
They're just kind of sucking. I mean, I didn't.
Jeremy, you're off.
Not by that much.
No, you're off.
What do you mean I'm off?
Western Conference. Guess who's tied for first?
The Stars.
No.
Yes.
No, in NBA.
The Suns.
And?
The Lakers have won one game.
No, the Suns are tied with the Trailblazers. I said you were a year off. So last year, remember we had the little bet where it was the Grizzlies were going to do better than the Trailblazers?
Yes.
And, you're just a year late.
Yes, of course.
Yes.
So, do you still have the original playoff predictions on your computer?
For NHL?
NHL, yeah.
Yeah, let me pull them up.
Well, Jake Ottinger's hurt now, so the Stars.
Wait, he's hurt? Oh, that's...
Yeah, the Stars are gonna die.
Why?
Huh?
Why?
I'm just curious to see what... I know we're only 10 games in. I just kind of wanted a refresher on
Yeah,
what everyone had before we start.
Here, let's see. You had Lightning, and then Toronto, then Florida, then Boston, Rangers, Carolina, Penguins, Washington, Avalanche, Wild, Nashville, Blues, Edmonton, Calgary, LA Kings, then Vancouver. Jeremy had Toronto, Tampa Bay, Florida, Detroit, Rangers, Carolina, Washington, then the Penguins, Avalanche, and then specified 60 games. I don't remember the context for that off the top of my head.
Did I say 60 games?
They were going to win 60 games this year, I
I think I said because...
Well, because we were having this huge argument about how he thinks the Avs are better
And they
this
are.
year than they were last year.
They-
So they need to win 60 games.
Yes, okay, that's what
He
it
said they were
was.
going to win 60 games.
Yeah.
And then Blues, Minnesota at the very end.
We're going live in like 5 seconds.
Edmonton,
So we didn't
LA,
have the Stars in there?
Calgary,
I did. Shit, we're going, hey,
Anaheim, Vancouver.
this is our lead-in. There you go. Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the Triple Threat Show on WXJM, 88.7 FM, Harrisonburg, Virginia, and WXJM.org. My name is Jeremy Lapidus, host of this Triple Threat Show, joined as always by my two friends and co-hosts,
Shane Brisland.
and
Hayden Raymer.
you can, as always, check us out on the YouTube at the Triple Threat Show. Also, go check out the Instagram at the Triple Threat Show. And I don't know if we have a Twitter, but we should.
Probably should, yeah.
We'll get a Twitter going.
Yeah.
Hopefully we can get at the Triple Threat Show. And you should totally go check us out. We apologize for taking a bit of a 2-week hiatus.
Shane, you want to explain that one?
Yeah, Shane, you want to explain that one?
So I dislocated a bone in my arm playing a hockey game. We won the game, that's all that matters. But I am currently on the IR and maybe out for the season, may come back in time for playoffs. But it was been a hectic 2 weeks. I had to go to the ER, then I had to get surgery. And now we're in a sling and we'll be casted up for a while.
If you want to see the sling, you could go check out the YouTube at the Triple Threat Show. Yeah. because the radio wasn't on for like the whole beginning speech because Gandalf was still doing its thing silently.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, but I fixed it. We're good now.
Nice.
Yeah, that was a lot of things, and also just me and Hayden were like dying of some kind of sickness for a while.
Yeah.
So
Still am a little bit.
yeah, so
It's been a very phenomenal 2 weeks.
it's been a couple weeks. I'm happy to be back. I love doing this, and we've got some really exciting stuff to get into. Shane, is your team even gonna make playoffs? Is that like a thing that they might do?
For whatever reason, we've played a bunch of games, but none of them were league games. But we're 2-0 in league games, so we've won the games that have mattered so far. And then we have 3 league games this upcoming weekend.
And that's all that matters. Winning the games that matter.
Yeah. So we are currently in first place in our division with 2 wins, and everyone else has played like 1 or 2 games.
Who else is in your division?
We have George Washington University, Georgetown, University of Richmond, Princeton, and St. Joseph's. It's kind of scattered.
Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween.
Oh, yeah.
I forgot it was Halloween,
Mm-hmm.
so I didn't dress up. But Shane over here is dressed up as an injured person, and Hayden is dressed up as Fred.
From Scooby-Doo. Had to specify. There's a lot of... I don't want them to think I was internet personality, Fred.
You look more like him.
Oh, thanks.
I'm just gonna say that you look more like him than Scooby-Doo Fred.
I should have worn a green shirt.
You've got lots of those, haven't you?
Yeah, Dollar Tree and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, would you like to talk about some JMU sporting news, Hayden?
I would love to.
Yeah.
I mean, I think one of the big stories outside of football is field hockey. You know, they just wrapped up their season. Ended on a low note, lost 0-3 to Rutgers, which was a pretty good team, and they had a really good season. You know, first year in like D1, all that fun stuff.
I thought they've been in D1. I thought this was their first time in the Sun Belt.
Well,
Excuse
not
me.
in the Sun Belt.
Oh, yeah, because they're in their own
They're like
individual-
independent. It's really
league,
weird.
yeah.
They don't play conference games. or
Yeah,
anything
because
like
the Sun Belt doesn't have field hockey teams, so they don't have like their own conference for it. They're thinking about making it, I think, is what I've heard.
that. Mm-hmm.
But no, they just straight up don't have one. So they have to schedule just whoever will take them, which is tough when you're a good team,
Mm-hmm.
because teams aren't just gonna be like, oh, yeah, we'll face you because we totally want to maybe lose a game.
Yeah, I think they ended the season as 28.
28. I thought I saw 20. I thought I saw 17.
Who?
Field hockey.
JMU?
Yeah.
I mean, it depends on what ranking you're looking at. I was looking at the regular
That's probably the right one to look at. Maybe I was just looking at some guy's ranking.
ranking. Because like NCAA puts out a ranking,
Yeah.
and that they had them at 28 as of like this morning. So
That's pretty good.
yeah, I think honestly, I don't think they make what's it called? They make conference like any sort of championship games. But I mean, if they won, I think yesterday they would have had a good shot.
So is there 20... Wait, that's 2021.
Yeah, no, that's really good. Obviously, being even top 30 in the nation, you know,
They
there's
are
only
28, yep.
there's only 100. There's 150 some schools. You know, that's really really good.
Yeah.
Congratulations to them. Snaps.
I think volleyball is finishing up their season too soon. I think
Yeah,
they're
they're
pretty much locked.
yeah,
in the Sun
because
Belt.
they swept Coastal, so that was huge.
They're locked then, probably to win the conference.
Unless they like lose out, I think they're good.
Yeah, and like Marshall's like I don't know if they've played Marshall yet, but Marshall was like one of the worst programs in the Sun Belt. So I think they're pretty much locked.
All right.
The win, which then, Sun Belt playoffs, which, first year in the Sun Belt, making the playoffs, pretty good accomplishment.
Same thing with soccer.
Yeah.
Women's soccer, I believe, won the Sun Belt or is went on top of it. I'm not sure what's going on in men's soccer, honestly. I haven't checked. But, just good all around. The football team's been on a bit of a slide. Homecoming was not a good game.
It doesn't help when you're starting quarterback.
Yeah, no, that was the big issue. We had I had high hopes for our backup quarterback. I know this is a little old at this point, but we never got in the air for it, so I'm gonna air my grievances right now. He just kind of had like glue on his feet when he was in the pocket. I feel like if he could move around in the pocket, he could be half decent. But the thing is, if he just stands there, and he's basically is like, oh, hello, Mr. Defender, who's about to sack me. It's not a recipe for success in general. Also, he was really inaccurate, short and medium throws. So you gotta, I don't know what they're gonna do there.
Is Centeo still hurt?
I haven't heard anything. I know it was an oblique injury, and I haven't heard anything since after the game. So, they had their bye week this week, and now they're going in to play Louisville, who just beat a top 10 program in the country, in Wake Forest. So, I I don't know what's going to happen, but if we can pull out a win there, that'd be huge. We're not getting back in the top 25. So, that's not even really a question.
Oh, yeah.
But
Not.
It was nice while it lasted.
It was. It was nice to be in there for a couple days. It happens.
And then I quick checked on women's soccer. Wednesday, they're in the Sunbelt Women's Soccer Tournament. Wednesday they play against Texas State at 7:30. And this is like in Alabama. And then if they win that, then their next game would be on the Friday. And that'd be the semifinals.
No, all right.
So they got a bye. It looks like through the first round. So snaps for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about anything else?
That's all the JMU sports news I had.
All right.
I wanted to talk about at least.
All right. Well, how about this, Shane?
Yeah.
I know it's your favorite time of the year because hockey season has just started. I want you to tell me a couple things that has been surprising through the first, 5 games. How many are in there? 10? 5? 10?
10-ish. Most teams haven't played 10 games yet. Some have, but we're around the 10 to 7 games played mark. So it's still very early in the season, but there's still plenty of surprises. So Vancouver, they started off the year going 0-5-2, so just 7 straight losses, 2 in overtime. In each of those games, they have had a lead. In 5 of those games, they've had a multi-goal lead. And I was very high on them to start the year. I had them making playoffs because I saw the talented roster they had. And it's kind of this constant theme where they have this talent, they just can't get it together. And so there's been all sorts of rumors about, Bruce Boudreau, their head coach, is already on the hot seat for getting fired. And it's, wait and see at this point. It's still a lot of season left.
I feel like Bruce Boudreau gets fired every year and then gets picked up in that same year, a month later, and has that team on the fringe of playoff contention. I feel like he does this every season.
Well, who was his last team?
He was on the Ducks for a while.
Well, because he was really good on the Ducks. Because they were on some really good Ducks teams. Because those Ducks teams got to the semifinals. They lost to the Blackhawks when they were going on their cup runs. They had to lose to the Sharks when they made it to the finals that one year. So he was successful with the Ducks, but it's that Bruce Boudreau moniker where he always chokes in the playoffs.
Right.
He could never get to the finals.
I feel like he was on Montreal for some reason.
Oh, no. Do you know who he was on? He was on the Wild.
Was he really?
He was on the Wild, yeah. So again, he was a really good regular season team, and then we get to playoffs and lose. And then we had to let go of him because the Wild were mediocre. So they let go of him. And then I think he took like a year off, and then he signed with Vancouver.
Great. I don't know. I just feel like he does this every single season.
What's their issue?
Their defense is awful.
Yeah.
One of their defensemen, after Quinn Hughes, I'm not a huge fan of their defense. And I think that's something that keeps on holding them back. And I think it's just being disciplined to like play defense and not give up those chances when you have the lead. Like when you're a playoff team, you have to learn how to just buckle down and just hold on to a lead with your life and just not play selfish hockey. And I think that's one of their issues they just keep falling into. Also, I haven't really looked at the analytics. They could also be just very unlucky just to start off the year. But when you have multi-goal leads in 5 straight games and you lose all of them, there's definitely a bigger picture at play.
Yeah. No, that is that's definitely a bigger issue than just unlucky.
But they're currently on a 2-game win streak now, so maybe this is the start of this could be the start of some better things to come. But again, it's really early in the season. I am not gonna I'm gonna hold off on any like dramatic opinions or change of opinions until we get a few more games in.
Shane, I need a dramatic opinion, and it needs to be a change of opinion right now.
I regret what I said about the Vegas Golden Knights. If I had to take back an opinion right now, I like how this Vegas team is doing right now. I was worried about how Robin Leonard, their star goaltender, is going to be hurt for the entire season. I was worried about how their other less experienced goalies will do. One's a rookie, and I believe his name is Logan Thompson.
He's the goalie.
He's been playing phenomenal.
Yeah.
He has 2 shutouts already.
He was playing at the end of last year too.
Yeah, and what we watched was he did pretty well. He couldn't steal a game for them so they could get that playoff spot, but he was a serviceable goaltender in the 10-ish games he played last season.
Yeah.
And
I mean, it was just he played at the very end. And also, did you see him shove the dude in the middle of the fight earlier this week?
I did not.
Oh my god. They had some kind of scrum in the front of the net. I forgot who it was against. He just casually stands up as a goal crease, checks the dude in front of him, and just skates off. And it's great because you can't touch the goalie. This is what I've been pushing for this whole time, okay? This whole time. The goalies need to be able to go fight people. It really would make this exciting sport of hockey even more exciting.
Yeah. And then also his backup, Aiden Hill, has also been playing really well too. And another thing was I was questioning whether or not this team would be healthy. I think after having a full off season and those few extra months not making playoffs for guys to get healthy, I think that just got everyone back on track. Everyone feels 100% energized now.
What's Jack Eichel doing?
He's a point per game.
Yeah.
Which is what we knew he could do that if he was healthy. The problem is he just hasn't been healthy these past few years.
Mm-hmm.
Mark Stone, he's doing really well. I was worried about his health. It's just we knew this team they have top-end talent, and that top-end talent is living up to it right now. And I also want to say Chandler Stevenson, Caps legend, he's such an underrated player. I remember people weren't giving him respect because, he's playing with Mark Stone and Max Pacioretty. That they're definitely carrying his stats. And I'm no, he's been doing this year after year. He's showing that he is a capable top 6 center in this league, and he can play with elite talent. He is one of the fastest players in the league. That guy is quick. And I think we should put some respect on his name. And he should be more recognized as being a legit number 2 center in this league.
Yeah. I mean, speed kills in every sport. Hockey is obviously no exception from that. If you are fast, you're going to be able to get more breakaways. You're going to be able to stop more breakaways. You're going to be able, those are 2 very important.
Yeah.
Even for a center, defense isn't his main job, but if he can sprint down there and get a body's a body,
Well, that's how he got his job on the Capitals, because I think he was a late round pick, and then he was very much a penalty kill guy. but like with his speed, he was so good at killing penalties because he could like be all over on the penalty kill and cause havoc on the forecheck. And then Vegas was like, "Hey, this guy beat us in the Stanley Cup Finals last year. Let's give the Caps a 7th round pick, and we can get this guy in our team." Like, I still can't believe the Caps gave him away for a 7th round pick, and he's turned into their second line center.
Well, the Caps kind of...
We also have we got the Cup, so I guess who really won? But still, I would have been nice to keep him.
Yeah, no, it would have been. But at the same time, they had to... I mean, they probably had to pay him or let him go, right? And they also had to come up and re-sign Ovi, pay Kuznetsov, pay
Backstrom.
They had to pay... I think they also had to pay John Carlson, too.
John Carlson had to get paid, yeah.
Right, so they had to pay all these guys, and, I'm assuming they'd been like, oh, look at all 4 of these guys that we really need to pay.
Yeah.
You're really good, but we also won't be able to pay you, so let's get something from you. So, there's a lot of more factors than just looking back on it like, wow, how stupid are they? There was a lot of things that had to be done before Chandler Stevenson.
Real stupid.
Yeah. Real
Selfishly.
real bozo move right there.
And then a Golden Knight player also made NHL history. Phil Kessel has the Iron Man streak. He has played 990 games consecutively in the NHL.
You should play 9 more and then retire.
Just take his $1.2 million he's making in this year, and it's like, I've done enough.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just...
Retire the nice round number of 999.
Did you hear about how Mike Madonna was scratched during his 1500th NHL game? So he ended his career with 1,499 career games played.
I did not hear that, but that is kind of dumb.
No, yeah, just...
Didn't we talk about that on here?
Yeah, I think we did. I just don't know if you guys remember.
I remember this.
Yeah.
Well, I don't.
Yeah.
I've got, goldfish brain.
Yeah.
I belong in the fish tank
Uh-huh.
with the other goldfish.
Uh-huh. You know they actually have amazing memory, Jeremy.
I bet you they're not as good as ours.
Better than yours.
Better than yours.
That's why I said I got the goldfish brain. It checks out. It checks out.
Well, going back to Phil Kessel, though, it's just funny because you know how athletes these days, they're all about, oh, you have to be super healthy, you have to, lift every day, it's all about the constant grind, right?
Sure.
Phil Kessel has gotten to where he is, and he's infamous for, while in Pittsburgh, he would regularly eat at a hot dog stand. There's this specific hot dog stand he always went to before games. And then he's also like Ovi, where he would have Coke on the bench.
Mm-hmm.
In his water bottle, he would put Coke in it. And then he also would routinely skip workouts. So he would be in the gym just reading a magazine, and then his teammates are like, dude, what are you doing? And so whenever his teammates gave him any crap, he just got up, outlifted all of them, and then went back to his magazine. And so it's all right, Phil Kessel, you can do what you want. And he's also a beefier guy too. So it's just the fact that this guy has the NHL Iron Man streak is phenomenal. He's such a character.
There's always people like that.
Yeah.
There's people like that in every sport.
Genetic freaks where it does not make sense how they should be able to do the things they do with the habits they have. They're just gifted that way.
Mm-hmm. I'm jealous.
Are you?
Yeah.
Nice.
I just thought I'd let you know.
I appreciate that thought, Jeremy.
Did you have any surprises that you noticed in the standings or any players right off?
The Flyers have
they're
11
decent,
points. Yeah. And we talked about this a little bit when we were doing our predictions, because I told you I didn't have them in the playoffs. I'm not going to say I had them in the playoffs because I'm not that crazy.
And you didn't. I have proof.
Okay, cool. Thank you for
You're welcome.
confirming that. But I was saying, look, the Flyers always do this, right? They do. When everyone's like, oh my God, the Flyers are good, they suck. And then when everyone's like, the Flyers are the worst team in the NHL, they go and win the Stanley Cup or make the playoffs, They go do some crazy. And the Flyers, through, granted, 10 games.
Not even.
almost 10 games. I think they were above the Leaves, like in total points, above the Leaves and above the Caps and the Penguins, and I think even the Rangers too. In the Eastern Conference, I think, if I'm remembering that correctly.
You're right about the Caps, Penguins, and Leafs. They're not ahead of the Rangers.
Darn.
But again, it's like we're not even everyone's like within like 2, 3, 4 points of each other.
Who is causing that on the Flyers? Why is that happening?
It's their head coach, John Tortorella. This guy is known for taking absolute, I can't say that on radio, awful teams, like on paper, very bad rosters, and he's just known to whip them in shape, go back to old school hockey, and it's like, if you're not going to work for me, you're not playing. And he's created this culture where this team works. And they may not be the best team in the league, but they will be the hardest working team in the league. So this team is not going to be the last place team in the league, and you're going to have to work if you're going to want to beat the Philadelphia Flyers. And I think that's what this team really needed.
Could you imagine if Philly won in all 3 sports?
I don't think there would be a city. And then you have to give credit to Carter Hart has returned to form, their goalie. He was like this really young goalie who did really well early on and has struggled very much these past 2 or 3 seasons. And again, small sample size, he looks like the Carter Hart of old. It looks like he's back, that potential that we saw. And they're playing very well in front of him so far.
It's good. That's what matters. Are they a young team? Do they have a bunch of young guys up?
Yeah, because they traded away all their veterans. They still have a few left on the roster just because some of the contracts are pretty bad. But yeah, there's a lot of young guys on the team.
All right.
Young-ish.
Okay, yeah. I was going to say, because a bunch of old guys doesn't seem like they just whip into shape that quickly. It seems like you'd need a bunch of rookies or people that haven't really had a culture set yet, kind of thing.
Because it's like they have a lot of prospects, but not a lot of high-end prospects. You kind of have guys that are kind of like late in their development, and you're just kind of like, all right, you got to show us something, or you may be out of the NHL soon. Because once you're not a prospect, you're a suspect. I'm stealing that from some other podcast, but I love the saying. If you're not a prospect, you're suspect. And they're kind of reaching that point where they're not a prospect anymore, they're kind of suspect. They're in that like 23-year range where it's like, all right, you got to start showing us progress or we're going to have to sell you.
All right. And then Boston.
Really good.
No, they're not.
Yes, they are.
Oh, they're not.
They're 8-1-0.
Overrated.
And this is without Charlie McAvoy.
Yeah.
Overrated. They've just played a bunch of scrubs.
All right.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, Brad Marchand.
That's what I was trying to get to, yeah.
Coming back a month early from hip surgery to score 2 goals in his debut. That is just ridiculous hockey resilience for you right there. It's just... I just thought we weren't going to see this guy till December, and then he comes back like before November even starts.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I didn't realize about the Bruins?
What?
That Pasternak was 26. I thought he'd been
He's
on
only
that.
26?
Yeah, he's only 26.
It's shocking how young that
Yeah,
guy
because
is.
I feel like he's been on that team forever.
Yeah.
Like, you know, with Marchand and the other.
No, yeah,
the
he was
others.
pretty. I think he was like 2014 draft. I want to say, or
How young was he? Was he 19 when he was drafted? Oh my god.
he was like a late first, and he made the Bruins roster right away, and then just started scoring a bunch. So it was just kind of, we were just kind of used to, oh yeah, Pasternak, he just scored a lot right out of the gate.
Right, because I feel like he's been on there forever. Because I was, I lumped them in with the aging dynasty teams of old, or not dynasty, but
he's also on a contract here.
aging teams of old. The Kings of old in the East, Penguins, Caps, Bruins, right?
Yeah.
Those are the 3.
Yeah, 2014.
What's up, Aiden?
Well, no, was Marchand? I know there was a quote. I can't remember which Bruins player it was. Was he the one saying like, This is like the healthiest I felt in like years when he came back. I know a Bruins player, that was a quote that came out.
I don't know, I feel like that's something hockey players say, just to like give the fans hope.
But I mean, if you're coming back a month early, I feel like
maybe he said that.
I don't know.
Who knows? I don't know. When it comes to hockey players and injuries, like they could be missing a leg and they'd be like, "I'm ready to play, coach."
Right. It's crazy because like after the Stanley Cup, it all comes out like, oh yeah, this lower body injury was actually a broken foot, and he was just playing.
He was just casually playing through it.
I mean, it was like the thing with Kyle Riley, where he had a torn ligament in his thumb, and his thumb was completely messed up.
Yeah.
He just played like the last month and a half of
Right.
the season.
No, but like it comes out because in hockey it's either upper body or lower body injuries.
Mhm.
That's what it is, and then they'll just come out. Yeah, he was playing 30 minutes a game on a broken foot.
Yeah. I remember Sean Couturier of the Flyers after one of his playoff series. It's like, oh yeah, he was missing both his MCL in both knees and an ACL in one of the knees, and he played an entire 6-game series on that. And I'm like, and then Bergeron, he played all the way through the Stanley Cup final on like broken ribs, a punctured lung. Like he went to the hospital in between games to. Because he had a punctured lung, and then he played the next game. It's just ridiculous what hockey players go through, like in playoffs and injuries. It's kind of one of the most entertaining things about the sport, and something hockey players pride themselves on, for better or for worse.
Mm-hmm. Then my other thought was, hot take, Kraken. Trade for like some defense, some goalies. Pretty good.
Their offense isn't. It's not good.
It's pretty good.
They're good for now. I think they're like top 10 in the league right now in scoring.
And I mean, you saw it. You saw it
Their
last
advanced
year.
Statistics are really nice.
You saw it last year before. I'm not gonna say it's all because of him, but before Tanev got hurt last year, in the beginning, their offense wasn't too bad. Like it wasn't good. Don't get me wrong. But it wasn't too bad, and he was out for the season, and I'm not saying it fell off a cliff immediately, but there was a clear effect of him not being there.
From what I remember, they were a middling team, and then their goaltending took a nosedive. Their goalies just couldn't make a save, and that was their big issue last year. And when your goalies can't make a save, the entire team just gets dejected.
Yeah,
But they made some huge moves. Like, again, they traded for Oliver Bjorkstrand. Love that move.
That's not a real person.
Well, he played for Columbus, so that's probably why you've never heard of him. But great player on a bad team. And then they signed Andrei Burakovsky. I love that signing. And then you have Matthew Beniers, a second overall pick. And I think he's like 8 points through 10 games or something like that. He's doing really well.
Mm-hmm.
So I do like their offense, that they're a young, exciting team. And again, when you have I wouldn't try to be competitive right now, especially when this draft class is loaded at the top. So if you can get a lottery pick, I would really try to shoot for that. Because Connor Bedard, you're going to hear his name a lot these next few years. He's going to be a stud if you can get that guy. And then the other, Michkov, a Russian stud, and then it's like there's some American kid in there who's supposed to go 3, he's supposed to be 6 too. But yeah, Bedard and Michkov, those are supposed to be like the next two like legit guys in the NHL.
All right.
They're 4th in expected goals for. And they're also like one of the worst in the league in expected goals against. So that was just my whole reasoning behind that.
Yeah, no, it's that's just how it is. They're not a complete team yet.
Yeah.
And again, it's still very early, so I wouldn't.
It's also to be expected.
But when expected stats, like you can put a little bit more weight behind it than like goals for.
Goal differential, yeah.
Like you can put a little bit more weight behind that. You can kind of form.
Well, yeah, they're playing well for now. Again, I don't see them as a playoff team. Like sometimes you get these teams that go on a streak in the beginning of the year, but there's still a lot of season left. So yeah, like I'm happy for them that they're doing well, but again, I just don't think they're gonna hold on to it for the long haul.
They're gonna win it all.
All right.
Yeah.
Then Buffalo's also doing
Real
pretty
mad.
well too.
They're avid listeners of the Triple Threat Show. They're gonna prove you wrong, Shane.
Yeah, the avid listeners.
The avid listeners of the Seattle Kraken.
The Crackheads.
Yeah, when they you know how like teams that were kind of like they do like their little like hype clips, like when they go to the
Yeah.
playoffs and stuff, and they like play audio from like media people talking
Yeah.
bad about them. They're gonna play this sound you right now, talking bad about them.
You gotta clip it for him, make it easier.
I'll
Yeah.
send it to him too. I'll do the whole video for him.
Just clips from the show.
It's
Yeah.
it's gonna have like Airbud playing. That's gonna be the video because I can get the rights to the games.
Their record will be as ugly as their mascot.
Mm,
There's your soundbite.
thank you, appreciate it.
That's
It's
it.
giving me all the material.
That's
man.
it. Get him. Get him.
Send that to
Send that to the
Mr. Kraken
to
right
the
now.
Seattle Kraken business email at the Triple Threat Show.
That's the name of
That's
that's
the
our email.
that's the Seattle Kraken business email.
is the Seattle Kraken business email at tripletechshow.com.
At gmail.com.
Anyways.
Yeah.
Any other hockey stuff you want to talk about, Shane?
That's all I have, unless you guys got stuff you want.
No,
Throw
that was
in
my
there.
stuff.
That was some good stuff.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, Game 3 was supposed to be the night of the World Series,
It
right?
was.
But it got postponed because of rain.
Yep.
The series is currently tied 1-1,
Mhm.
and we never got into the studio for predictions. So, series tied 1 apiece. What do you think, Shane?
Let's go with Houston in 7.
I have proof that I've said this, and I said this before the series. Phillies in 5.
It's bold.
They win the next 3.
So,
Who's on the bump tomorrow?
McCullers and...
Ranger.
Yeah.
Okay. They can do it. Wheeler goes game 5.
I thought Wheeler was supposed to go... No.
Nola's game 4.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
no, they got that. Easy peasy. Plus, the Colors is pitching in Citizen Bank. Yeah, no, it's not going back to Houston. That's all I'm going to say.
That's... I don't think that's possible. I think it has to go back to Houston.
Mm-mm. Game 6 and 7 would be at Minute Maid. 'Cause it's 1-2.
It's 2-3-2?
Yeah, it's 2-3-2.
Why is it 2-3-2? That is an awful... Okay, hold on.
That's how it's always been.
No. I can finally rant about this, actually. That is an awful playoff format. The whole point of home field advantage is to give you home field advantage. If you lose one game out of the first 2 and you are the home team, you not only lose home field advantage, you lose all semblance of it. Right? Because you're supposed to have a little bit of a ballpark advantage or home field advantage, and then you go in and you play 3 straight games in the other park. The whole point of going back to yours is so that, you can get some of that momentum back, have an actual advantage. It is an awful playoff format for them to do it like this. I think that is a major change that needs to be made. The baseball is the only sport that does it like that. And they only do it in the World Series.
Mm-mm.
They don't even do that in the championship
Are you talking
series.
No, they do.
It's dumb. They should
Well,
change it.
It's 2-3-2 and all of the...
It's awful way to do it.
Dumb.
It's just an awful way to do it. Like, it literally it basically gives the advantage to the team that's not supposed to have the advantage. Even if you don't take one game
Mm-hmm.
out of the first 2, you can still basically you can still take all 3 at home, and then you only need to take 1 on the road.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's just
I
I
think
hate the
home
format.
field- I think home field advantage matters. I think you are emphasizing it a little too much.
I think it matters in baseball more than in any other sport.
I don't think so, though. Because, I mean, you have players who, like, it's home road splits it's a very minority set of players who pretty much changed their entire approach between ballparks. It is such a, or like who they're built for a certain ballpark. Like Alex Bregman has no pop, but he'll hit 20 home runs a year because he plays in Minute Maid Park with the Crawford boxes, where he can just, it's a shorter distance, and he can just, pull some fly balls into those boxes, and he'll hit more home runs a year. That's a very small sample size. There is probably
Obviously, that's a very good example, because exactly what you're saying, that kind of pop, he's built for exactly that side, that amount of power, and it just all it does is it gives you that extra clutch moment. It gives you, if you have Alex Bregman up, down the tie game, bottom 9, you much prefer him at Minute Maid than Citizen Bank, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if you have to go play 3 games at Citizen Bank, and even one of them comes down to that situation, it's just one of those things.
But it's not like a guarantee.
It's not a guarantee. It's the advantage isn't guaranteed. It's just there, And I think because baseball has different dimension ballparks, it's a much bigger advantage than just crowd noise. Like, I know crowd noise is a huge deal in every sport. Obviously, I'm not trying to knock that at all. You go into Seattle to play football, the way they've built that stadium to funnel sound onto the field, it's really hard on an opposing team.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not trying to take that away, because that's a real home field advantage right there. But if you can parlay that crowd noise with having a ballpark built exclusively kind of for your team, even in the slightest way possible, it adds that extra.
Can do that, though.
Huh?
Any player can, just any right-handed hitter can just pull the ball into the Crawford box.
Yes.
The thing is, it's like Alex Bregman doesn't have any power, and so he amplifies. He changes his approach somewhat based on his park, just because he has that thing that he can use to get more home runs, because home runs are what get you paid in modern day MLB.
Yeah, I think the 2-2-1-2-1 is a much better format. I think because if you're gonna sweep, the whole thing in a 7-game series is the sweep, right? And having that first 4 games even, I think, is huge. And then having that 5th game be the advantage to the home team is the most. I think the 5th game, is the most important game in a series.
Mm-hmm.
Assuming it gets there.
Yeah, because
right.
I remember they were throwing that stat around when I was watching playoff hockey. I want to say whoever wins Game 5 wins 75 or 60% of the time. It's like a pretty huge advantage if you win that
right.
Game 5.
That's just I don't have analytics to back this up. This is just me watching however many years of sports I've been watching, noticing these things just anecdotally. These trends, I'm sure they're out there if I looked for it.
No, it is. It's like that, yeah.
The point of giving a team a slight advantage because, they did whatever requirements are for them to give the advantage. Game 5 is that advantage. Yeah. And right now the MLB playoff format is giving that advantage to the team that did not do what they needed to do to get that advantage. What is it, just wins in the regular season now? I know it used to be the All-Star game.
That's regular season, yeah.
Okay. But they're not doing what the Phillies, in my opinion, have home field advantage in this series. Even without winning, even if they had lost both of those games, I think they have home field advantage in this series because I think Game 5 is that crucial.
Oh, so to correct my stat from earlier, so for the NHL, if a series is tied at 2, the team that goes on to win Game 5 wins approximately 75% of the time.
Right, and in a fair series, you assume about 60% of the time the home team wins the matchup, right? you give them the slight advantage, right? So you can, obviously it's not going to happen.
10% isn't slight, though.
It is kind of slight.
It's not.
That's
really.
a massive.
That's a massive.
It's a massive
Massive
overestimation of home field advantage.
Okay, I think home field is. I
Well-
think I might be overestimating, but I think you're way
I was-
underestimating.
During one of my sports psychology classes, it'd be more psychology and sociology. We were looking at how home field advantage, right?
Mhm.
And they saw that regular season, yes, there is maybe a 5% advantage in baseball. During playoffs, it showed that home field advantage it's kind of it's pretty much 50-50 or a slight disadvantage because you have more, maybe, I don't know how many stats were taken, but it was maybe it was more slight pressure playing at home. Some players don't perform as well. So it's pretty much a lot closer to a 50-50 in the playoffs from what I've read or seen.
I don't know. All right, that's a thing.
Yeah.
I guess. I still hate the format. I think Game 5 is a crucial game in a 7-game series.
Who wins the series then?
I think the Phillies win the series.
How many games?
6 games.
I think if it gets to 6, I think they lose.
Why is that?
My honest opinion. I don't trust that pitching depth.
I don't like Ranger Suarez. I know he's been pitching really well these playoffs, but I don't like him.
If he was facing anyone other than McCullers, I would be a little bit more hesitant. Obviously, I thought Phillies in 5 was my prediction before World Series started.
Yeah.
McCullers makes me feel better about that opinion. When you go back to home field advantage, his home road splits are terrible. He's not a good away pitcher. He thrives at home. And you're putting him in an away stadium. And Ranger Suarez has been really good this postseason. So I just give it to the Phillies. I think it's Phillies in 5.
All
I
right.
trust that. He can get them that carry them to that victory here in Game 3. And then you have Nolan and Wheeler. If you can't win in 5, then you're not winning at all.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a fair point.
You disagree?
Yeah, I just straight up don't like Ranger Suarez. I don't like him I don't trust him.
You don't trust them?
I don't trust him. I know he's been pitching really good this postseason, but I don't trust him. I just don't.
You don't trust the Phillies lineup then to carry them?
Oh, I trust the Phillies lineup just fine. That's why I have him winning.
Uh-huh.
You both have them in 5?
I have him in 6. I just don't trust Ranger Suarez to be able to shut down the Astros lineup. And the Phillies bullpen, because they keep deciding to put Brad Hand in the game for some reason, is bad.
Phillies bullpen's solid. I like the Phillies bullpen
All right.
in the postseason. It's like last year with the Braves. Braves bullpen last year in the regular season, terrible. Look at what they did in the playoffs. Amazing. They've been good this postseason. Good enough at least. Enough to get them a extra innings victory.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to talk about some football. Sorry, my mouth's a little dry.
I do want to talk about some football. Because the trade deadline is today.
Yeah.
Trade deadline is today, and I believe it's either 3 or 4 today.
Mm-hmm.
So, I know I forgot to ask you guys this, but I'm going to put you on the spot anyway.
Okay.
What moves would you like to see, what trades would you like to see done? What teams would you like to see make a trade? What teams would you like to see get rid of somebody? What's one move that you think needs to happen on this trade deadline?
I would love for the Vikings to get some corner depth. Just because that's been my biggest heartbreak with this team is just our defense has always given me heart attacks. Offensively, I am pretty satisfied with the Vikings so far. It's like our O-line can be inconsistent at times, but we've looked pretty good this season. So, and then we just got so many weapons on offense. Like, we don't really need. It doesn't hurt to have more depth at any position.
Depth never hurts.
Yeah, never hurts. Like having a better like wide receiver 2 or 3, I would love. But it's not. We don't. I wouldn't want to give up a haul for one just because it's not really a huge need. I feel like our huge need right now is at corner and safety. That's just because in the past that's where it's really bitten us, and just to avoid injuries there. I don't really know who's available for that right now, but
I'm
something like that.
I'm trying to think because it's going to be the bad teams. Like the Bears are selling right now. I wouldn't really want a corner. I wouldn't want someone from their secondary. You know, you think of the other teams that might be selling. The Panthers. They've got a couple guys that, honestly, their defense is pretty solid. I might want to go get a couple, maybe one of those guys, but we'll see what the Vikings do. I think the Vikings the corner. I mean, you see Patrick Peterson.
He's had a really good season.
He was shutting down. Obviously, he didn't shut him down because DeAndre Hopkins had a huge game.
Yeah.
But he was shutting down A.J. Green. That's what he did. He was basically on A.J. Green all day, and he shut him down. You've seen, Lewis Seen. He's hurt. But he was playing pretty good before the injury. Your corner on the other side, Dantzler. He's come up with a couple massive plays. He gets burned, but he's come up with a couple big plays.
Harrison Smith.
Mm-hmm. I don't think the Vikings need to make a huge move.
Yeah.
Like you said, a small move, obviously, if it shores up their championship aspirations.
Yeah.
But I don't think there's a move that's dire to be made for the Vikings, at least.
Just a little more depth, because I knew we were thin at the corners to start the year, so a little depth there would ease some of my...
Yeah. Did you have one, Hayden, or should I go?
Trying to think.
All right. I've got a couple, so I can go. Well, I'd like to see. I'll start with the Giants, and this one's real obvious. They need receivers. Currently, and I've complained about this before, they're trotting out Richie James, Darius Slayton, who's rumored to be traded away, so that's not helping. David Sills, and Colin Johnson, who can't catch or falls down. So, not the greatest receiving core on an already pretty one-dimensional team. The defense is really good. So, go get a weapon like Jerry Jeudy might be on the chopping block or on the trading block. You've already gotten rid of who's his name? Kadarius Toney, which I think that's a good move for the Chiefs. I think they gave up a good amount, but I think that's a really good move for the Chiefs going forward. I think that's something that Kadarius Toney, who, may I add, has already been ruled healthy.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm very confident that he wasn't hurt on the Giants. They just weren't going to play him. He is so explosive. I think he could be another Tyreek Hill in that offense. And, it's not like the Chiefs need that. But it obviously makes them better.
Yeah.
So I like the move for them. And another move, I'd like to see some running backs move. Kareem Hunt most likely is going to be traded. I'd like to see him go either to the Bills or to the Dolphins.
That'd be scary if he was on the Bills. Oh.
Yeah. Because, the Bills have always been missing a running game. That's always been their weakness since Josh Allen has emerged. They've just been missing a running game. You get a guy like Kareem Hunt that can also catch passes. He's one of the best receiving running backs in the league, on top of what he can do on the ground. That makes that team so much scarier than it is already. And then to the Dolphins, I have some complaints about the Dolphins in general that I'll get to in a second. But if they can get a running back that can break tackles, again, when you have guys stretching the field, like Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, you have to chase them, which leaves the running lanes wide open, right? God, no. And, the Dolphins throw to their running backs a good amount. Not saying Chase Edmonds can't catch. He's also got really good hands for a running back. But I think having the Dolphins or the Bills trade for a running back is something that I'd like to see happen.
Or both.
Yeah.
For the sake of my fantasy team, I would love to see Cam Akers get traded. I don't know if he'll get played, but
Reports are saying that if he doesn't get traded, he'll just rejoin the Rams and start playing again.
and never get used.
Yeah, but who knows?
So how does this affect Odell signing with the team? Because he's been rumored to sign with everybody.
He's supposed to sign soon, early November, because he tore his ACL.
So there's no restrictions on him?
No restrictions with him. You can always sign free agents.
Gotcha.
He's just gonna pick a team. Yeah. So, keep an eye out for that. That should be coming within a week or two.
Who do you think he signs with?
So I know his list was narrowed down to Rams, Giants, Bills at one point. And I'd love to see him rejoin the Giants. Because
he
as
actually wants to. I thought.
Yeah, no, that was legitimate. That was legitimately on his list. Because
I thought things didn't end well.
No, they gave him a massive contract, and everything was good, and then they decided to trade him away. And great, that's fine. The Giants would have wasted him anyway. So whatever. But as far as I can tell, things ended fine. He's still got a lot of friends in that locker room. And that kind of thing is going to make a big difference when he's already won a Super Bowl. He's not ring chasing anymore. He's just looking to go to a place that obviously is good, but somewhere that he can have fun, you know? And why not come back to the Giants, right? You had your best stretch of your career
and
here.
You know you're going to be wide receiver 1.
Yeah, he knows he's going to be wide receiver 1. It's going to be a massive upgrade. I already complained about the wide receivers enough about already, but you know, it's just one of those things that
the fact that I've never heard of any of them except when you complain about them, it means a lot. And then, you said the Bills?
Yeah, the Bills.
Oh, of course, yeah. That's just.
And you know, why not?
Yeah.
Yeah. Why not?
God, Diggs and Odell. That's a.
And they already have Gabe Davis too.
Yeah.
And Isaiah McKenzie is really good. That's a scary team. Add Kareem Hunt as well. I'd
put my money on that.
And that defense.
Mm-hmm.
That's terrifying. That's terrifying. Did you have a trade you'd like to see happen, Hayden?
Mm-hmm. I want the Rams to blow it up. They won it all. They're missing. They don't have any picks. They gotta bring them all back, trade away everybody, and then just rebuild from scratch. I like to call it the one draft rebuild.
They don't have any draft picks until like 2027.
And that's what I'm saying. You just trade away all your players, they accumulate all these picks again. You pick you have every 4th round pick in the draft. You will hit on so many players. I'm telling you.
The good old retro bowl strategy.
The good old retro bowl strategy. I'm telling you, they will have the most whatever value set, the most fantasy points from 4th rounders in a single draft ever. You're welcome.
Thank you, Hayden. There's also just been a couple of trades that I want to talk about. Same division, Christian McCaffrey, already paying dividends. You know, he was traded to the 49ers. They got a haul. I think that is a big win for Carolina. Not only have they looked so much better since trading McCaffrey, for some reason, does not make sense to me.
Well, maybe it has something to do with the head coach being fired, too.
I mean, it happened the same week, but, they played a game without McCaffrey. They played the game with McCaffrey and the new interim head coach. P.J. Walker did not throw a pass in front of the line of scrimmage. And then, they just go play the Bucs and the Falcons, and they look like a competent offense again. So...
Well, maybe they just placed too much weight, and they're trying to just give the ball to McCaffrey.
Right, that's the thought.
Yeah.
But, you see what after a week of practice in the 49ers, McCaffrey has not only 3 touchdowns, but he has 3 touchdowns in 3 separate ways. 1 throwing, 1 passing, 1 rushing. And that brings me to a trivia question. Who was the last player to do that? Throw for a touchdown, catch a touchdown, and run for a touchdown.
Saquon Barkley?
That's what I was gonna say.
It was not Saquon Barkley. I'll give you a hint, 2005.
Oh, wow. Really?
So, Peyton Manning. Yeah, I don't know any players from 2005.
Tom Brady.
Okay. Yeah, it was LaDainian Tomlinson. Tomlinson.
Yeah, that
Tomlinson.
was it.
Never.
LaDainian Tomlinson.
Yeah. I believe he set the single season touchdown record that year.
Yeah.
Most touchdowns by a running back in a season. He was a stud. If he had played longer, I'm not sure if he's in the Hall of Fame right now, but I think if he played longer, he'd be a surefire Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
He was very good. He was so good. Oh, he was so good at football.
Unfortunately, he played for the cursed San Diego Chargers.
Yes. But yeah, what was I saying? 49ers. The deal worked out for both of them right now, you know? That really helped the 49ers offense. They no longer have to worry about putting everything on Debo's plate, you know? Not that was a bad option, it's just that Debo has a history of injuries.
Isn't he hurt right now?
He is hurt right now, too. So they have another option, another injury-prone player to put everything on.
Yeah.
So
They'll take weeks. Like, 1 week with Debo. McCaffrey.
And then the Eagles got another defender.
Before we
go for it.
Going back to Carolina, DJ Moore is just such an underrated receiver. I feel like do you think he's gonna get traded, or do you think
He's not getting traded.
He's just gonna stick with the franchise?
I
forever?
believe what the Panthers came out and said was, we're building around DJ Moore and Brian Burns.
How old is he?
He's pretty young. He's like 25 or 24, maybe 26.
Huh.
I don't know. He's pretty young.
And I just feel like he's kind of been like the only relevant player he's been on that. I feel like he's just been on that roster forever just because he's such a reliable weapon.
Yeah. No, he's very, very good. So it's something that they understand and that they're going to build around.
Gotcha.
That at least on the offensive side. And can we XFL quarterbacks are taking over the league. It's wonderful. Taylor Heineke and PJ Walker, both 2-0 in the last 2 weeks, while Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers are both 0-2.
Who did the Commanders beat this week?
They beat the Colts.
Yeah.
Don't they always beat the Colts?
I feel like they do.
Yeah, just every time I hear that they play, it's always the Commanders won.
I don't know. The Colts like to lose to bad teams. Not that they're a good team this year, but they like to lose to bad teams. So, it's something there. But, XFL talent is clearly better than NFL talent is just my big takeaway from this.
Yeah, definitely.
Both of those teams started doing better once those guys started, so that's all I'm saying.
He's right.
I mean, shouldn't have Heineke been starting in the first place?
I mean, yeah, but you're also paying him like $2 million and Carson Wentz $30 million.
Well, I'm saying why, trading for Carson Wentz probably wasn't the answer.
Oh, no, it absolutely was not the answer.
That was it's marginally better if he is any better.
Yeah.
And he's eating up so much free cap. It's
Yep.
probably better just to stick with Heineke. But
Yeah.
I'm not a GM or anything.
It's pretty much they're still trying
You
to
got the
revive
idea.
that Carson Wentz that went 9-0 or something to start off, and then he got hurt.
Mm-hmm.
And then ever since he got hurt, he's just never been the same player. So it's just they're still he's still somewhere in there, even though it's probably best just to move on from that point.
Yes. Yeah. Before we continue, we've reached the top of the hour on WXJM 88.7 FM, Harrisonburg, Virginia, and WXJM.org. My name is Jeremy Lapidus, host of this Triple Threat Show, joined as always by my 2 friends and co-hosts,
Shane Brisland
and
Hayden Raymer.
now sitting down. You can go check us out on YouTube where we live stream everything, all our shows at the Triple Threat Show. And check us out on Instagram at the Triple Threat Show. And hopefully Caleb didn't steal the Twitter handle. Twiddle handle. Hopefully Caleb didn't steal the Twitter handle, because he threatened to do it at the beginning of the show. So
How nice of him.
we'll grab the Twitter handle maybe.
So nice.
Yes, back to football. Couple takeaways from week 8. Did you guys have any more trade deadline stuff you wanted to go over?
That's all I got.
All right, couple takeaways from week 8 that I wanted to just go into real quick. The Dolphins. Okay? The Dolphins are a good team right now. The Dolphins are a really good team right now. Can you imagine how good they'd be if they had a good quarterback?
Oh, yeah.
We like Tua.
You like Tua?
I thought we did.
Okay. He has the 2 fastest receivers in the NFL, right? If you watch his games, he is constantly, and I mean constantly, underthrowing them. Every single throw could be a touchdown if he didn't underthrow them by 10 yards.
Doesn't he have to, well, I guess you really can't get rid of the ball earlier.
It's not an issue of getting rid of the ball on time. It's an issue of he needs to throw the ball 35 yards down the field instead of 25 yards down the field. Instead of in 25, which he's getting it down the field, you know? Tyreek Hill burned everybody 3 or 4 times last week. Tua tosses it up because he's wide open, and he finds, and then Tyreek Hill has to come back and moss a dude to catch this ball. What would have been a touchdown is instead now just a big play game. And they're leaving so many points on the board, and they're winning because Waddle and Hill are so good, right? But if they had a quarterback, it doesn't even have to be a good quarterback. It has to be a quarterback with a strong arm. That's what they need.
But, how do you... Who's out there? There's
I
just
the
no
Rams are
easy to
blowing it
fix. There's just no easy fix for who's available that could.
Daniel Jones would be a better quarterback in that system.
But are the Giants going to trade for him?
No, I bet you they would if they got a good enough offer. Honestly. Daniel Jones, while not the strongest arm talent, could make those throws that Tua is missing.
I definitely agree with. I think he has a stronger arm than Tua.
And that's the issue. The Dolphins could be so good. The Dolphins could be Super Bowl contenders if they had a quarterback that could make these throws. Tua, we talked about it at the beginning of the season, has everything set up for him. Everything. The Dolphins did a really, really good job this offseason. They got a good head coach. They got Tyreek Hill. They revamped that offensive line. That defense is already good enough, right? It could be better in the secondary, but it's good enough. And the Dolphins should be putting up 50 points a game. They really should be. And instead, they're, putting up 35, which is really, really good. But they should be putting up so much more. And it's frustrating. It's frustrating to watch Tua. I'm not saying he's bad. What he is super accurate. What the Dolphins do is they run a lot of play action, and it's what they should do more because, like we said, the linebackers, they have to respect the run, so they come up, and then you have these 2 super fast dudes running across the middle, 20 yards downfield, right? They do a little 20-yard out route, and Tua could hit them perfect. That's something Tua is really good at. But when it comes to those 40-yard throws, Tua is constantly underthrowing them, And that's something that Tyreek Hill thrives on. Jalen Waddle thrives on, It's something that is kind of holding them back a little bit. And I don't think they're contenders because of that.
Corporal Jones.
Maybe. What do you think about that? Mac Jones versus Bailey Zappi? Who'd you put in?
I'd probably still put in Mac Jones just because he's the more proven starter. I haven't really watched Patriots enough to know how good of a season he's having right now, but
when I watch Zappy, I'm excited. I can't say the same for Mac Jones. I don't know what it is. It's just
The underdog story?
I think it's that.
A lot of people have that same reaction. So I'm not blaming you. A lot of people have the same reaction there.
I feel like it's just like, oh, here we go again. Patriots find a late round quarterback, and he's just gonna be really good for no reason.
Solid. I think a lot of it's just like inexperience, kind of his mistakes.
They are literally the same person.
The Patriots have a type. A quarterback, apparently.
They have the same skill set on the football field.
So trade one away.
Which one? Is it the one that you invested a first-round pick that your fans are kind of growing a little sour at because he can do basically the same thing as this guy that you invested a fifth-round pick in?
I don't know.
Or is it the guy that you put a... Is it... Who do they like more?
I don't know. I'm not in the front office.
Who do you think they like more?
Who do I think they like more? Well, they were playing Mac Jones. Didn't they play him again last week? So they clearly like him more. If they're playing him again and he's the starter, they like him more. If they like Zappy more, he would be playing.
Probably. When you watch them on the football field, they're the same.
I mean, if we're gonna trade one away, you trade away Jones. He has more value. He has proven himself to be at least a somewhat competent.
Like, man, that would be a
NFL
fun trade
quarterback.
but they're in the same division, so that wouldn't to the Dolphins, but that wouldn't happen.
Yeah,
It's
that
the
wouldn't
same
happen.
division.
I don't think the Dolphins are going to move away from Tua anyway. It's frustrating to watch that offense sometimes because of how much potential it could have.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Well, yeah, you're pretty much going to go from, like, imagine if Mahomes was on that team. He would just be...
Oh.
I have the answer. Tom Brady.
He wants to go to the Dolphins.
I know. He's going to the Dolphins.
I wouldn't be shocked.
Is he on a 1-year deal?
No,
he's got 1 year left.
He's going to Miami.
I think
He's definitely going to Miami.
He legit might go to Miami next year.
He's going to Miami today.
That's definitely not outside the realm of possibility.
Wow.
I think we found the solution.
I think we did it. I think that'd be hilarious, and I think that'd be amazing. I mean, he's clearly unhappy.
Is he?
In Tampa.
Is he?
Yeah.
Is it because of the plays, team, or is it because of the off the field stuff?
I don't know. Maybe he doesn't care. Maybe I know.
I think now he's like, look, I need a change of scenery. I got to get away from this place. It reminds me too much of...
Too much of her. Let me go to Miami.
This Tampa Bay place reminds me too much of Florida. Let me move 3 hours east.
Hey.
Just to get away.
Miami, it's got the party life and all.
It's got the boys' choir.
It's got the boys' choir. He's on the TikToks, all right? He loves that Miami boys' choir, He's tracking down Yoshi right now.
How are the Bucks doing?
The Bucks?
Did they lose again?
Yeah, they did.
Yeah. They're not good.
Yeah.
Not good is the answer.
And I don't think that's a product of...
Brady. It's not.
It's not, because he's fine. I think it's a product of the offensive line and injuries and a little bit of coaching. Because their current coach is a defensive coach. And I don't know if he knows what to do with the offense.
And their defense isn't even good either.
No, because the defense is ravaged by injuries right now. So, that's something excuse me. That's something to consider there. The injuries have been a real issue for the Bucks.
But I mean, do we think Brady just wants rings at this point?
I don't think he cares. I don't know why he's still playing.
I mean, I don't think he can be playing in order to just not further cement his legacy even more.
He doesn't need to play to cement his legacy.
I understand that, but he just wants to wants to put himself in untouchable territory. You know what I'm saying?
I think he just because he genuinely loves the sport. I don't think he can imagine himself doing anything else right now because I think he's going to play until they won't allow him to play anymore.
Yeah, probably not.
Because it's some athletes are like, you know what, I'm going to retire out on top. And then other athletes are like, you have to like chain them to the ground before they retire. You have to give them like no other choice before they retire. And so I think you just saw that that's just how he's wired. He's gonna keep playing until not a team in the league will sign him.
I bet you he would have stayed retired if Adam Schefter hadn't broken the news for him. I seriously think that's true. I think he would have stayed retired if Adam Schefter hadn't one-upped him. I think he came back to be like...
He tweets like immediately after the final game. He's like, in the locker room, I retire.
Just 2 words.
It's retired.
Spelled incorrectly. It's spelled R-T-I-R-D. What? What?
I thought Hayden was going to add on to that. But
I thought he was too.
Good.
yeah.
Okay.
But what does Tampa Bay do from here? Because without Tom Brady, what are you going to do at the quarterback position if and when he leaves? Because they had no plans for when he retired.
They'll draft a quarterback this year, I'm sure.
Throw him in the fire.
Yeah, why not? You know, they drafted one a couple years ago, Kyle Trask. He hasn't seen the field. I don't know how good he is. That could be something. It also could be nothing. I believe they have Blaine Gabbert as the backup. It's a backup. It's definitely a backup quarterback in the NFL. So, you know, we'll see what they do from there. But, power rankings. Do you want to do top power rankings?
Sure.
Do you guys have your power rankings?
I
How
don't have
far?
it, but I'll come off it right here, right off the top of my head.
We're going to do 5. We can do
All
10 if you really want to do 10, but we can do 5.
I could probably do 5 and then BS my way to 10.
We'll do 5. All right. Shane,
Where are
what?
we starting? Number 1? We're going down.
We're gonna start at 5.
All right. I can do that.
All right. At number 5 on the list, I have the San Francisco 49ers. I had the Vikings here last week, but the 49ers have, obviously with the trade of McCaffrey, that makes their team better. If they can get healthy, that defense is terrifying, and I think they are set to make at least a deep run into the playoffs, if not a Super Bowl.
I have the Vikings here just because I love that offense. I just think we have all the weapons. We have Jefferson. We have Dalvin Cook. We have Thielen. I probably overrate him. I just love the variety of stars we have on offense that we can use. And they have the record. So, like, playoff spot is looking more and more, I don't want to say guaranteed, but it's just we have a strong record right now, and hopefully we can keep that up. And, of course, I'm going to be biased and throw my team in there. I guarantee you, as soon as we lose a game, they're going to be dropped so far from me. But, yeah, I'm going to enjoy the optimism while I can. I'll have them at 5.
All right. Do you have a 5, Hayden?
I do. I have the Ravens.
Why?
Why?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's still, I mean, the offense, it's a little hit or miss a little bit, but it's still really good. And I think while there's like room to improve, but it's easy to improve to be really good too, you know?
They just made a trade for Roquan Smith, one of the best linebackers in the league. That is something that could help out their defense. Obviously, their fourth quarter woes have been really dragging them down. So maybe that helps them. We'll see. At number 4, I have the Minnesota Vikings. Like I said, I had them at 5 last week. They won a pretty good game against a Cardinals team that just got DeAndre Hopkins back. with DeAndre Hopkins, that Cardinals team is pretty good. Their defense needs some work, but the Vikings look like a solid team, and they're very solidly in the top 5 for me.
I respect that. I just the paranoia with this team. This is too good to be true for me. I'm just waiting for something bad to happen. It's hard to enjoy this. But for me at number 4, I have the Cowboys. Again, they have a weaker schedule. They just beat the Bears, which is not really that huge of an accomplishment, but they still have that defense is insane, and Dak Prescott's back, and he looked pretty good against the Bears. Dalton Schultz is back, their tight end. He looked like he hasn't missed a beat, so I'm going to keep the Cowboys there at 4.
Also, the Cowboys, Dak is back.
Dak is back, yeah. That's
That's
kind of the main reason why I have him at 4 too.
I've got the Cowboys at 7, so I'm not too far off you guys.
Do you have them at 4 too? Or?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I said.
I have them behind the Dolphins at 6.
And then I imagine our top 3 is going to be the same mix.
Yeah,
the
it's
same
just going to be a
teams.
different order.
Yeah.
I've put the Eagles down at 3, not because of anything they've done, just because I watched more Chiefs and Bills, and I've decided, even though the Eagles are the only undefeated team, I think the Chiefs and Bills would still beat them in a game. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's yet to be. I'm going to give the Eagles the benefit of the doubt. I have them at 1. They're undefeated. When you're undefeated this far into the season, I'm going to give you that number 1 spot. Yes, you may have had a weaker schedule, but until you lose a game, like, I'm going to put you there because no team's beaten you yet.
Yeah.
And again, it's yet to be seen whether or not they could beat a Bills or Chiefs. But I just like what I've seen so far.
And, like, no one's arguing.
Yeah.
Those are the clear top 3 teams,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Eagles, Chiefs, Bills. No one is putting them outside of top 3. It's just a different order.
What's your order? It's
I've got Eagles at 3, Chiefs at 2, Bills at 1.
okay.
Just
You'll have the Bills over the Chiefs.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just swapped the Eagles down because I watched some more Chiefs football, and especially after Kadarius Toney, I might be putting a lot into that, but I think he could be a huge part of that offense. And I think that's something I think the Chiefs are a really good football team. Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in football. So,
I would agree with that.
yeah, that's why they're above the Eagles, in my opinion.
Well, like, what state? Like, I feel like the Eagles really haven't faced, like, a team that's like, oh, that's a huge win. It's
They
kind
beat
of
the
like,
Vikings. The Vikings was a big win.
Well, it's just... Again, I just cannot give my team any credit. We always play awful against Philly, so I kind of saw that happening. But, like, outside the Vikings...
Well, the Eagles have a really easy schedule this year.
Yeah, so it's just like they
So-
don't really have one of those wins where it's like a huge statement, but they've looked really good against all of their other opponents. So
Real quick. Bills have 203 points for. 98 points against.
Yeah, their defense is insane.
I know, it's just like, well, we can keep saying that, but like when you put like numbers to the fact, like it's wow.
And that's why. Like, if I was just taking it by position, if I was just taking it by the offense, I might put the Chiefs over the Bills, simply because of Patrick Mahomes. And that's not a knock on Josh Allen, because Josh Allen is a close second, in my opinion. But if I was just taking the offense, I might go with the Chiefs over them.
Mhm.
But that Bills defense is such a good unit that I can't even conceive putting the Chiefs over them.
The next lowest is 118.
which is the
Eagles. Yeah, the Eagles defense is also really, really good. And that's a credit to the offseason moves. You know, they added James Bradbury from the Giants. They added C.J. Gardner-Johnson from the Saints. And they also added a guy from the Bears earlier this week. So, you know. And then they drafted Jordan Davis. So, they have a very, very good defense.
Fletcher Cox is still there.
Fletcher Cox is incredible. Yes, he is still there, and he is taking up space, as he is supposed to do.
You really just can't go wrong with those in the top three. We're just waiting for them to compete against each other.
Right. But it's come to that time, unless anybody has anything else to add, for my favorite segment of our Triple Threat show, Hayden's Question of the Week. Hayden, do you have a question for us?
I have one, and I have a good one. It's a multi-parter. One, we've been talking about trades. Trade deadline. It's today. What are your thoughts? I mean, so I'm come from an MLB background, right? Where you have prospects, there's no draft pick trade, right? So that whole concept to me was a little foreign when I started, kind of getting into other sports.
Mm-hmm.
So one, we're all thumbs up for draft pick trade.
It's
right?
the same kind of deal as
Yeah.
prospect trading.
Yeah.
It's just, because you don't have prospects in the NFL. I know hockey's different because you can do both. And that's a really interesting mix
Oh yeah.
because you have to value things different in hockey between picks and prospects.
Like I
But,
love
you know.
trade tree videos. Those are so fascinating to me because in hockey you're just like, what is this pick gonna turn into, and then what is this player? It's so fascinating.
Right. Hockey's the happy medium between baseball and football and basketball, where there's no prospects really in football and basketball. It's just once you're drafted, you're in,
Mm-hmm.
So the drafts have, more value there.
Yeah.
But yes, I'm all in on draft trading. I like it.
So, second part to that question, do we think we should further restrict that a little bit? Because I know in the NFL, I think it's probably the one where they restrict it the most.
What do you mean?
On how far into the future you can trade. Because, I mean, hypothetically, I think based off what I've read, there's not really any restrictions in the NHL.
I don't think there's any restrictions in the NFL either.
I think it's 5 or 3 draft cycles. 5 or 3 draft cycles, is what I read.
I know in basketball, the one rule they have is you're not allowed to trade consecutive first-round picks in a row. Because the Cavaliers did that back in the 80s, and it messed them up for 20 years.
Yeah.
So they put in a rule about that you can't trade your first-round pick for 2 consecutive drafts. And I like that rule, but, I mean, that's what the NBA had to do because there are only 2 rounds,
Mm-hmm.
But, I don't know.
What
kind of restrictions would we be talking?
I don't know. It's just hypothetically, I'd be like, hey, yo, I want this player. How about a 2060 first round pick?
I know GM would give you the trade because it's just like.
The Rams might be getting to that soon.
It's just, I feel like for the hockey, there's no rule that I know of because no one's attempted it.
Yeah.
Because it's like, why would you want a 2060?
Why wouldn't you want a 2060 first round pick?
Dude, when that bill come due, everyone is going to be like, wait, what? You're telling me that back in 2022, our awful GM gave up our first round pick 40 years later
It was
for this bum?
Too. It was some bench piece. He's like, man, the league might not even exist by then. Let's just get it done with.
You're telling me you gave up our first round pick in this draft, which is the greatest we've seen in decades, for Jimmy Garoppolo?
No, here's what I would do, though. I would go ahead and trade for a bunch of 2060 first round picks. They would never see it coming.
And then those picks are gonna turn into studs, and they're like Hayden Raymer knew the entire
He
time.
knew the entire time.
He was scouting.
He saw this baby.
I saw it.
He was scouting the sperm.
I was scouting those eggs. It's the eggs.
The eggs, that's where you gotta look.
That's what you gotta look.
He just knew. Next level scouting right there.
Then I had a bunch of hockey players. Then I'm gonna do the math here. Give me a second. In 2048, I had a bunch of hockey players decide to donate sperm, and then that was the.
Well, if there's anybody you want, the father of the Hughes brothers, because he had 3 sons get picked in the top 5. So it's just
Well, no, I don't want top 5 picks. I want guys in the 4th round. Come on. There's,
You
like,
want
a bunch
okay,
of
late
people
bloomers.
who've never put
Sorry.
on
Yeah.
skates before, but like their sperm donor, their dad was a hockey player, and then it's golden. I'm
Alright.
telling you,
Yeah.
it's never failed.
Wait, so going do other leagues have like conditions on their draft picks?
Yeah, you can put conditions on there. Like there's last year
It's
the
on Bakers.
yeah there's
there's a
con-
conditional
yeah
fourth.
there's a conditional fourth. It's like if he gets X amount of playing time. I know that when the Colts traded for Carson Wentz from Philadelphia, it was if he was like 75% of the snaps, the third round pick would turn into a first round pick or something like that. So that's what happened.
Because it's like with what NHL, like to avoid some of the awful trades in the past, they've done. All right, if this pick is in the top 10 or top 5 this year, you will get next year's first round pick.
Yeah, there's
like so
That's
many
a protected
conditions.
Yeah,
first
that's
game,
that's
yeah.
that's what they have in the NBA. They have lottery protection on
Yeah.
some picks. Like you could do you can trade protected picks, and that is exactly what that means. If your team is in the lottery, which is like I think the top 10, that's when they spin the balls, and they do that in hockey too, obviously. They spin the balls. If your pick would be given out in the top 10, you get to keep it and give next year's.
Yeah.
They also do unprotected picks, so sometimes.
Yeah.
It's not protected, but there are protected picks. Yeah.
Always wear protection.
Yeah.
So yes, I'm not opposed to restrictions, but I don't think it should be that much, especially in the NFL. That's my 2 cents.
That's until I acquire every 26 seed. Point on pick. Never been done before.
Never to be done again until the year 3000.
So it would be 2,100, Jeremy. Every 40 years. I just slowly every fourth round pick.
I'll give you this guy for a fourth, but I want the 2064.
Why, you ask? Don't worry about it. And then I just do all the trades on one day.
That's wonderful.
Imagine that fan base, just like, why the heck do we?
We just
have
traded our entire team away for a team that hasn't even been born yet. Sounds like a Lions type of move.
I actually just got a job offer. And you won't believe who it's from.
And then the commissioner is like, "No, you can't do this."
So, point it in the rule book.
Tell me where he's about to pull up the
It's my
Airbud
first
clip.
day on the job, please. I don't know.
He's gonna pull up the Airbud clip. Roger Goodell's gonna be like, Hayden, what are you doing? And he's gonna be like, listen to the dog.
Then they're gonna make the Hayden Raymer rule. You cannot trade your entire team for draft picks 40 years in advance.
But let me tell you. Then I'd have to go sign a bunch of people. Ethan Mackey, you got a job in the NFL, baby?
Ayo. I bet
I'll
you.
trade it for 2061 points.
You're ridiculous.
Thank you.
Who'd you get traded for? Some kid who's not even born yet.
And he won't be for a while.
Well, on that note, thank you everybody for listening and tuning in to our show tonight. We really appreciate it. This has been the Triple Threat Show on WXJM, 88.7 FM, Harrisonburg, Virginia, and WXJM.org. Also on YouTube at the Triple Threat Show. I have been Jeremy Lapidus, host of this Triple Threat Show, joined as always by my 2 friends and co-hosts.
Shane Brislin.
And
Hayden Raymer.
have a good night.
I'm gonna take my mic out. Oh well. So then the idiots. So what if